Alright, so welcome to Stormworks. Let's take a quick look at the Blackpines Defense Systems Holland class. It's not an exact replica of the Holland class, but it's pretty close. Coming into the bridge here. Sorry for the loud radar rotating. So I've set up certain controls here. We have our backlighting. We have a rudder kill switch with a rudder. Master throttle, as you can see with 3 throttles. Master, port, starboard. So if I so choose to set master throttle, set master throttle, the other throttles will actually try to follow this throttle once I have it set. Again, work in progress. There we go. For some reason, they did not like going all the way astern. Let's try that again. Yeah, I definitely have to work on my stern. Oh, no, there we go. Now it's working. Shit gets really finicky, so I do apologize. Easy way to control all of my engines at once. The reason I have this is because I have the engine set up in such a way that I can use the turning props to steer the boat in almost 360 degrees without actually moving forward or backwards, which I will demonstrate momentarily. So I'm going to set throttle to 0 on the master, set the master throttle on, so they're all set to 0. Now it's safe for us to go down and turn on the engines. Yes, there's no key to the engines up here on the bridge, because that's not how ships work. If we come back here, there's a staircase. This will all be closed off later. I'm still working on it. Let's turn on the lights down here so we can see a little bit. You can see I have my drive shafts down here. Everything's running. Well, let's start one. Start 2. Start 3. And these are showing 0 because there's no RPMs running through the engine, but I do have the setup. If you were down here in the bridge while the ship was heading forward, you could see how many RPMs out of 100,000, well, not RPMs, how much power is being put out by the engine. The engine's capable of 100,000 force. If I have it set to 75% throttle, then you'd have 75% of whatever that force is. So, don't fall down there. Again, I haven't completed it yet. This is supposed to be my gearbox here. Gearbox is attached to my 4 turbine engines forward. There's no axis yet, but this is what we call a firebox on board. And the firebox basically, if one of these engines were to catch fire, it'd be contained inside this box, and then sprinklers would activate to contain the fire without it being able to spread to the other places. Unfortunately, due to the size, I can't have multiple fireboxes per engine. Normally you would have 1 firebox per engine, so I've taken a little artistic license with that. Anyways, let's head back up to the bridge. Again, all of this interior space, my little handrails there, all this interior space will eventually be filled with rooms, cabins, and whatnot. I hope to get the frame rate up a little bit higher. If this is a single hull ship, I should be getting higher than 26 frames per second. But something with the last patch really screwed some shit up. So I'm going to set master throttle forward. Say 17%. That's a good speed. We're just exiting the dry dock here. As you can see, I got my HF whips just above my Blackpines Defense Systems logo. nice crane. This crane, the concept was actually taken from Mr. New Jersey's cranes. You might recognize some of it from the Vanguard. Dual nav radars, because I want to be following all international navigation laws, including having multiple radar systems. All the lights are not on currently, but I do have nav lights set up on both sides, fore and aft. Still some work to be done on the bow. 76mm is not functional, but all the systems are there, it just hasn't been wired up. Same with the, I can't remember if there's a 30 or 25mm gun. Right now it's for aesthetics only. The SSI Zodiac I have on the side here is, again, just for aesthetics. Eventually I will have a offloading system to put into the water. Back here, these are actual doors that open, lead to a room underneath the flight deck where a rib would be stored. You can see through the sides of the flight deck. The hangar is not big enough to hold an actual helicopter. It is there for cargo purposes, and the crane can reach pretty much 360 degrees, except for right around here where the engine uptakes get in the way. But you can move stuff around from the flight deck to whatever mission you're doing. Pull stuff out of the water, put it into the water, etc. All the controls are right here, and I find my control setup is pretty friendly. Some labeling might need to be done, but other than that, it seems pretty good. So let's do a 360-degree turn while using turn off the master engine. I'm going to go full throttle port. Full of stern power starboard, and you'll actually see the ship is slowing down in place and actually starting to turn. Now I have the rudder. Since I'm turning to starboard here, I'm going to set rudder to starboard, and I'll actually start turning faster. So what's going on underneath the water. So for control purposes, I know this isn't realistic, I have rudders forward and rudders astern, and you might notice they are inverted from one another, which allows me to have better steering at higher speed. As one of the problems I find with Stormworks is because of the physics engine, it likes to tip. Any ship that is going over a certain speed will almost list directly over, and I do not like capsizing, so a lot of the stuff on board that you see is not functional, has no function. On the bridge top, I do have wind sensors, which will be put into a weather system that I plan on building on board, and the GPS sensors will be used for the autopilot I eventually plan on adding. As far as everything else, obviously the radars have no function at this time. Radars and radio are something that the developers have talked about, and we'll see if they end up adding it. That would be awesome. As a radar operator, I would love to have radar. And yeah, this is an example of my building ideas on a small scale. Unfortunately, a lot of my projects are very large, and because they're very large and complicated and very detailed, it takes me a while to get them complete. I'm also my own worst critic. So, for example, the bow of this ship, I redid it about 8 times in the span of 4 hours. So, yeah. I don't have a release date for this on the workshop, but I am planning on adding it eventually. So I'm going to go full max throttle, and then I'm going to set master throttle. Set it to 0, and throttle. Let's get the maximum speed here. Let's kill. So this is the kill rudder. So now I'm going straight. So instead of me having to like try and get back to 0, oh god, this is horrible. Fucking hit the rudder kill. It'll sometimes do that, but I just shut it off. Boom, it's right at 0, which is good. So that's my night lighting. You can see there. I have the whistle repeater, and the other lighting. Let's just quickly make it nighttime here. So this is my lighting on board right now. As you can see, not a lot of light. Warships normally run with limited light as to not give away their position. While sailing in civilian waters and without military intent, they will run the running lights, which is currently what this is. There's such thing as deceptive lighting, but I am not doing that right now. Not trying to screw with anybody. This is actually how the nav lighting on a ship like this would look. Sometimes they would have red aircraft warning lights to tell aircraft that there is a large mast there. Because this is a smaller vessel, it's not really tall enough to interfere with commercial air traffic, so it doesn't have that. Plus, it has a stern and forward-facing mast headlight, which is what that is called. Then we have a bow light, stern light, and we have our port and starboard running lights. Port being red, starboard being green. From the bridge, this is the view you get, which I think is pretty awesome. Quite enjoying the view here. Let's just open up. This is the view from the bridge wing, which I actually think this is one of the coolest bridge wings I've designed. I've made quite a few. So let's try high-speed turn. Now, we're not exactly doing the greatest of speeds. We're only doing about 15, 14 knots. But this is still a work in progress, and I do plan on increasing the speed with some hidden engines. Probably up in the bow, just to give it a little bit more kick. The running speed for a ship like this, I think, is shy of 30 knots, possibly about 30 knots. I will have to double check on that. But as you can see, it doesn't really list that much. It's a small degree of list compared to some of my other creations. And that's partially thanks to the rudders, which are at the front of the ship. I'm usually on Discord, and I would be glad to help anybody out with any naval knowledge and or knowledge that I've slowly picked up. I am not the greatest person with logic, but slowly picked up for stuff like these rudders and placement of items, how to keep your ship from tipping over. Because God only knows how many of my ships have tipped over while building. Anyways, that's it for me. This is Gardner, signing off.